Welcome to our Tuesday evening event with the incredible Esme Symes-Smith, the author of Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston. We are the Novel Neighbor, if you did not know. We are a locally owned independent bookstore in Webster Groves, Missouri. We sell genres all across the books of all genres, including specially curated gifts and goodies and bookish merch. And we have been such a long time fan of Esme. If you can't tell from my Esme is my champion t-shirt back from the hardback release of Sir Callie. So we are especially excited to be sharing with you the paperback release. Before I bring Ez on, I am going to read their bio to you now. So, if I could turn pages. Once upon a time in the southwest of England, Esme Symes-Smith wanted to be a knight, except it was 2002, so they decided to be a writer instead. Pen and sword and all that. They cut their teeth on a steady diet of fan fiction before wandering up to Wales to complete their degree in English literature and creative writing at a Welsh university. Then one day on Tumblr, they met a cute girl and promptly moved continents to get married. Now they live with their wife and fur babies in Missouri, where they wrangle kiddos as a preschool teacher in between scribbling. They are a co-founder of Pronouns May Vary, a gender-diverse literary coalition. And with that, I'm going to bring on Esme.
I'm dying.
Okay, anything else? Tell me how to pronounce that Welsh university.
Aberystwyth.
Aberystwyth.
And it's much harder to spell than it is to say.
The first time I went to Wales, I was with my friend who is Welsh and was just shoving it in my face how much I did not understand.
It's great. It's great. I think it took me the full 3 years to finally understand what people were saying.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure that that is true. Congratulations, Esme.
Thank you. Thanks for making time for me.
Oh my gosh, anytime. How did you spend your book launch day?
I worked today. Yay. Well, I had gooey butter cake breakfast with my in-laws, which is delightful. And then I went to Barnes & Noble where they did not have my book. And that's fine. And then I went to work and I hung out with the kiddos and they're super cute and I love them a lot. And then I got anxious about not being able to get off in time. And then I ran home and de-sweated myself because it's really hot right now. And here we are. I had time to make tea, so we're good. We're good.
I'm so sweaty.
I know that's the good thing about virtual is like no one can smell me right
now. I think that you can pitch Sir Callie better than I can. So why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about this little gem?
All right. Well, this little gem is Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston, which is the first in a quartet because I can say that now. So it's a full book series. Yay. And it's about a fiery non-binary kid in pretend medieval Cornwall, who wants to be a knight, and they're non-binary, and they're stuck in this very, very gendered society with lots of not very nice people, and they're like, but I want to do the thing, so I'm gonna do the thing, and they metaphorically and literally burn the world down to kind of get what they want, and they make a lot of friends along the way, and they teach them the ways of being spunky and naughty and going for what you need rather than what you're given. And I consider it my 2022 book, my 2020 book set in medieval fantasy Cornwall.
Oh, I feel like that's all of like my favorite middle grade books.
And it's got swords and dragons and witches and angst and softness and, all the things that I love to write.
Yeah. Where did the idea for Sir Callie come from originally?
So I always wanted to write a knight book because I am a huge Maura Pierce stan. I grew up on those books. I remember being 10 years old and, really enjoying hitting things with sticks, probably more than I should. So when the pandemic hit, I was feeling pretty not okay because, it's a pandemic. We just got into quarantine for the first time. And I was on submission with my first book, which was not selling. So I had all of this time and I had nothing to do and I was not feeling happy. So I was like, what will bring me joy? What haven't I done yet? And I was like, oh, dang, I haven't written my night book yet. Apologies, my dogs. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to write a book about a spunky young knight and a fierce girl and a super soft prince. And the three of them just bloomed into the story. And I feel like I always knew who the three of them were. So everything was really built around the trio because I'm a character writer first and foremost, and yeah, they've done pretty well.
I love this trio. Like, I truly believe that it's like the best balance of personalities. They're so fun to read. It's such a good found family. In your story, Callie and their friends live in a world where only girls are allowed to learn magic and only boys are allowed to be knights. Callie is non-binary and neither a girl or a boy. So can you tell us a little bit about how that limits them and shapes their world for Callie and everyone else?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting because I had a reader recently. He's lovely, and he's one of my old man friends at Starbucks, and he just finished Callie. Love him to pieces, Yadal. And he was just like, yeah, I think Willow must be genderqueer because he can do magic. And I'm just like, well, they say that only girls can do magic, but actually, everyone has a bit of magic inside them. It's more like only girls are allowed to do magic, which is actually a completely different thing, as we find out. But when I was writing it, like, I didn't know Callie was non-binary until the second draft, and then we worked it out together, and that was really fun. But asking those questions and Callie really kind of questioning why they're so kind of scared of the magic and kind of scared of embracing it because they see it as, if I am magical, then I must be a girl, which is not what I feel and not what I think. So they're definitely like learning how to, accept those like feminine parts of themselves while staying themselves, which is much easier said than done. It's like when I first realized I was non-binary, I was just like, I hate dresses and I want to cut all of my hair off and I don't like pretty things because that makes me not non-binary. And then I grew up a little bit when I was 30 and I was just like, your hair and your clothes and everything like outside of yourself, that's not who you are. That's just what you're wearing. It's just not what you look like. So other people's perceptions is not the same thing as who you are. So like Callie's journey with their magic and accepting it, they're still not very good at it, and that's okay, but they do have it. And just kind of, relaxing and accepting that part of themselves. I had a lot of fun. I always enjoy writing fantasy, but I always struggle with the magical aspect. So it's definitely been a delight kind of digging more into that, especially as the series progresses.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about your characters and if you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite.
You don't pick a favorite child?
Oh man, I love all of my characters except, Lord Asshat. So we have Callie, who is named for my dog, Callie the collie, because I needed a name like right now, and I didn't have time to.
That.
I'm sure I told you. She's super beautiful. So she was my childhood dog, Callie the collie. And when I was sitting down to start writing, I was like, I don't have a name, so I just like pulled it out of the air. It's Callie. Okay, we'll just roll with that. Callie is very much me when I was younger, very like righteous and indignant, and the rules are stupid, so I'm not going to follow them. And they're the best protagonist I've ever written because boy, do they want to be the main character, and boy, are they. They definitely lead the charge.
Yeah, they have big main character energy.
It's great. And then we have Elowen, who is my fierce girl. She's the daughter of the Chancellor in Helston, and she's like lived in this very like oppressive society her whole life. But she's always kind of known that there is something else for her, even if she hasn't found a way to like peel back that sticker yet. So when she meets Callie, she's just like, ha ha, this is my chance. I'm going to use you to change the world. Elowen is very much she makes the plans. She's the chess player of the group. And heaven help anyone that stands in her way. And she's definitely Callie's first crush. Like, oh, this girl's really pretty and I want to impress her. And I guess I will just do anything I can to do that. But Elowen won't stand for Callie's nonsense either, so they definitely have some bickering going on. But I love her to pieces. I think she might have been the hardest character to write, just because like girls are scary. And she's so internal, and she keeps everything very, very close to herself.
Yeah,
there's a lot we don't know about her, including me. I don't know much about her either. And then we have Willow, who is my Labrador boy. I love him so much. And he was super fun to kind of develop and let grow in the first book. And, the whole series, because, the reason why I wanted 4 books is like I needed Willow to have his full arc.
Willow's my favorite too.
He's a good boy. And I really enjoy him because, he's going through so much and he's holding so much on his little shoulders, and they are very little shoulders. But he stays sweet and he stays trusting, even when it's like to his detriment. And like, even when he's proven wrong about people, he still holds on to that faith.
Yeah.
Which is very, very hard, when they're going through this war, like internally and outwardly. And I'm just really proud of him for standing up for himself.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy seeing his fire sort of like grow and how he uses that. And then we have Edwin, who is Elwyn's twin brother, and he's a little less like well-adjusted than Elle is. But you know what? He just needs a big hug and some therapy, and we'll get there eventually.
He's going to be a great 25.
I love him so much. I'm proud of how far he's gone. And when I started writing, I was like, okay, I'm not going to write a sad, bad boy. I'm not going to do that. He's going to be over there. He's going to be not a main character. And then me being me, there he is. But officially, I do not have a favorite.
Okay. Well, officially, my favorite is Will.
That's valid.
What was it like writing this story? How long did it take? How long has Callie been in your head?
Since March 31st, 2020.
Okay, the exact date.
Exactly. Because it was the day before April camp for Nano. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For anyone who doesn't know, NaNoWriMo is when you like dedicate yourself to a story throughout 30 days. So I was just like, you know what, for April camp, we're just going to go with it and we're just going to splurge. So I drafted the basic draft in about 30 days. And it was super interesting because the very basic plot was there. It's like Callie and their dad go to Helston. Everything's terrible. Callie meets Willow. Callie meets Elwyn. And then they cause trouble. And as I was revising it, it kind of just bloomed from that trunk. The trunk didn't really change. So I revised it over about 9 months. I rewrote it like 4 times because we were in the pandemic and I had a lot of time in my hands. And then we went on submission to editors in March. And then when it came to, talking to my editor and looking how we're going to develop it, she wanted it to be bigger. So I cut it down from like 75K to 60K to sell it, because that's the allowed number of words that you can have in a middle grade novel. And then she was just like, more and bigger. So it ended up being 88,000 words. And that's when we brought in like the whole plot across the bridge. We brought in Kensa and Alice and, all of the mysterious nonsense on the moors. Because none of that was in the book originally. It was just, Callie fighting the Chancellor. But it was super fun to kind of bring in those bigger story plots and kind of weaving them into what's going on in Helston, because that kind of, it explained to me why what was going on in Helston is going on. Yeah. Whereas it was just like, nah, we're just annoying. So
I think like all of those added elements like flesh it out in such like a beautiful.
Which is that's such a fun thing for me to experience as the author too, because like, people ask me like, oh, how did you do this? And I'm just like, I don't know. It just kind of happened, and I guess it worked out because I'm not as clever as people make me feel I am sometimes. I promise nothing was intentional. It just kind of happened. Which I really enjoy, because then I can look at this book and be like, hey, this popped out, and I don't know how. It's great.
Well, that's funny, because my next question was like, how is this middle grade different from other middle grade right now? And like, how do you differentiate it? Yeah.
There are so many great middle grade novels right now. I feel like we're really sort of expanding the idea of what we think of as middle grade. But as far as Callie goes, I wrote it. It was my first specifically middle grade book. And I feel like book one feels very safe. You know, it's very like, yes, we have these problems and the hero saves the day and everything's fine, happy ever after. So when it came to book two, because my editor brought 2 books initially, I had no idea what it was going to be. I was just like, yes, I would like to do another one, but I don't know what it's going to be. And I tried out a few things. And, you know, originally I thought that the Callie series was going to be a magical school series. You know, it would be Callie and Helston just like training to be a knight and having their adventures. And it'd be a little bit different with each book. It'd be basically the same. But then I realized that like that's not the story that I want to tell, especially right now, especially with these kids. And I realized that we need to get them across the bridge. We need to get them in the wider world. And, you know, fixing one problem and getting rid of one person isn't a fix to the problems that, you know, Helston as a society has, you know, because it's not just Lord Perrin doing all these terrible things. He's really encouraged like the anti-magical bias in Helston. He's really like, you know, permitted the cruelty that we see in book one. I wonder where that comes from. So I really wanted to kind of go with that because, you know, the queen has like made a stance, but like it's not as easy as just saying these are the rules you have to follow, because people don't obey the rules and people still have their opinions and their feelings. And, you know, she's just one person, and it was really interesting to see how good intentions aren't enough, you know, and especially when you're kids, you're like hoping that the grown-ups are going to do the right thing, and you can see them trying to do the right thing, but like sometimes your best isn't good enough, and sometimes you just have to do what you need to do to protect yourself.
I love that this book is able to take on such systemic issues and like not have like a bad guy, but have a system that needs fixing. And also
he's a bad guy.
Yeah, fair. But like it's not just one. And I also think you have many adults who are actively trying to be good and still operating within systems that are inherently corrupt. And I just like, I felt, this is a book that middle grade readers will get a ton out of, and their parents will also get a ton out of when they're reading to them.
And that's one of the coolest things I've really like witnessed in the 9 months that book one has been out is, you know, I love seeing all the kids' reactions. It's my favorite thing. But like, I love it when I get notes from parents too, being like, I see this, I see myself here, I see my parents here, because, you know, it's really hard being a grown up, especially when you're responsible for like making the world a safe and better place for your kids. Because you don't always know what that looks like. And I really enjoy digging into that, especially with Queen Noella and Nick. Because, like, you know, take Nick, for example, he's always been very comfortable where he is because the system works for him. So he really had to, like, question the fabric of Helston society and be like, oh, God, this is it. And I don't know how to do this because, you know, these people were my friends and they gave me what I have and they supported me. And, like, it's really hard to take a stance against something that works for you personally. And then with Oella, like, she's so concerned with, like, protecting Willow, especially, like, at the end of book one and the beginning of book two, because, like, she holds so much guilt. And, you know, her picture of, like, protecting Willow is to shelter him and to be like, okay, you can't be like this because people are going to attack you. You know, I'm trying to keep you safe. You can't be yourself because I want to protect you. But, like, you know, at the end of the day, she needs to take a stance and be like, haha, you need to be how you are, and I need to change the way that people are seeing, not you, you know. So that was a really interesting thing to dig into. And Neil's just perfect. So
we stand Neil. Neil. Yeah, there are many people in the comments who are agreeing about good grown-ups and being a parent and relating to the media that you're children. This is also a reminder.
But I will also say, sorry, that Nick has been very divisive. It's very interesting because, like, half people, like, love him, adore him, best dad ever. Half of them are super pissed at him. And, like, it's kind of scary because it's, like, such big feelings. Like, I did a book club recently and, like, everyone was gushing about Nick, and there was this person just sitting there going, like, I hate him. I hate him. I was like, I understand.
I love it. I feel like it's got to be weird being 9 months in from your first book because now you've heard all of the reviews and
It's great. I love it. I love it. I love it.
This is a reminder to anybody who's watching that if you have a question for Esme, please ask it, and we will do a Q&A section towards the end of this. But I have a few questions first. You mentioned that your world building is like character forward. Are there elements of your world that you are most excited to explore as the series continues?
Yes. Oh my goodness. And again, like, I don't know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. It's just really exciting when it happens. So to like get the kids across the bridge into this world that they've been told so many horror stories about, you know, it's like the evil Moors and the witch that's going to kidnap you and the dragons and rah. And, you know, then they're realizing that, like, you know, the stories come from somewhere and they're still just stories. You know, so it's, you've got to go out and experience these things for yourself. You've got to go out and like ask the questions and find out. And maybe things are as bad as people say they are, but maybe they're not. And, you know, like maybe dragons are mean because people are mean to them. You know, if a knight was coming at me like, haha, I'm going to take your head, I'd be like, ah, fire breathing too. Like, come on, let's relax. So it's very much about, you know, questioning where those stories come from and our own biases and our own assumptions. And it's so much fun to scrap the lore that I set up in book one and be like, actually, this was wrong. And I always feel a little bit bad because it kind of feels like I'm retconning things, but like that's not how it's developing in my mind. And you know, early reviews have been really fun because they're like, I thought it was this, but now it's this, and this is fascinating. So like it's very much like no one actually knows what's going on. Everyone's just living their lives and experiencing this story as we go, and it's very comforting for me because I'm not a plotter. So I'm learning it along with them. It's fabulous. And I have an idea of where things are going, and I have a lot of like, you know, new things that aren't necessarily going to be in the books, but I know, and that kind of influence. It's so much fun. I can't believe I get to do this. It's great.
Callie has so many curveballs, and I love that about them and the series. Okay, let's dial back. What is book 2 called?
Yes. So Callie and the Dragon's Roost. And I love this cover with my whole heart. Shut up.
Somebody specifically said that they liked your plushies, so I'm now watching all of everything fall.
Bee. I love my bee.
I thought that was a real bee, and I thought it was very big, and I was like, Esme, put that down right now.
He's beautiful. I love him. I can walk through Barnes & Noble and be like, I like that plushie. I have grown-up money. I can buy it. It's great. The same thing happened with my banana slug from Novel Neighbor. Not Novel Neighbor, sorry. History Books. And this is from Novel Neighbor.
Oh, I love those ones. They're so cute.
I love. And then I have my Flapjack plushie that Dorian gave me. I love him. Aww. And I have waffles that my wife gave me. I'm just showing off my plushie. Anyway, so book 2. Book 2. So Callie and the Dragon's Roost. And this is a new character. And then we've got Callie. And then we've got Willow in all his gender glory because he's going through something. And he's beautiful and I love him. And what I love most is that this one is pretending that everything's fine. And you know what? If you pick it up, you trust that there's going to be a happy ending. And this one is just let's set everything on fire.
It's chaotic in my favorite way.
I know. And I've had like, my favorite thing is when readers and especially kids will come up to me and ask like, is it metaphorical or literal? And I'm just like, both. We are burning our bridges and it's great. Listen.
We are burning our bridges
around here. I love it. And like, I love the back so much. It's like the Pinky Promises and the deer and the magpie and the butterfly and everything means something. And
what can you tell us about book 2 or like what the plot is or where they're going?
Yeah, so book 2 sees the kids realizing that, you know, all the good things that they have in Helston aren't very stable. You know, it's the adults like trying to recreate this like good world for them, but like there's still so much going on. So things come to a head and they realize that like it's just not safe, you know, so they have to break out. They meet our friend Tio, who's a dragon, And Z helps them like get across the bridge, burn the bridge down, and then they get into Dumore, and they meet like the witches community, you know, and they're very, very anxious about that. But like, it's great to see them, you know, questioning what they think of as like a friend and a foe, because they're being chased by, you know, their family, essentially, the people that like they've lived with their entire lives, and they're being accepted by this group of people who have been vilified their whole lives in these stories. So it kind of just breaks down what the kids assume. And like some of them are more like open to that than others. Like Callie is very much like I don't know what's real, what's not anymore. And I don't know how to do this. And Ellen was just like, yes, I am here. I have arrived. These are my people. And Edwin's just in his little bedroom going, oh, I'm a goblin. I don't want to leave my room. And Willow's having a great time, like playing with his hair. So it's great. It's very exciting. So everything's fine for a while, and then, you know, it's middle grade, so things break down. And again, nothing is quite as it seems. People change. People have different like intentions. You know, bad people are good and bad, and good people are good and bad. Like all of that fun stuff. And there's plenty of cream teas, and Callie gets to eat some cake. And yeah, no, it's completely insane. I wrote it for myself because that's the only way I can write. And I was just like, my editor is going to tell me to change everything. She's going to tell me to tone it down, Esme, chill out. And she didn't. So, yeah, it's a lot. And please read the author's notes in the beginning, because if you think book 1 is heavy, book 2 gets heavier.
Okay, that's a good
And I'm
one.
working on book 3 right now, which is just another thing altogether. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, what is the timeline for you? So you're like, the paperback of book 1 is coming out. You're drafting book 3?
Oh, I handed in book 3. So I'm waiting on notes from my editor. I should be getting them back this week, and I'm really excited to jump in because this book was such a lot of fun to write. We have 4 points of view. 4 points. And again, I thought she was going to tell me to stop, and she hasn't yet. So I'm just going until she tells me to stop. It's great. It's so much fun. So that one will probably be done like October. And then book 2 comes out, and then I'll be straight into drafting book 4.
When does book 2 hit shelves?
What?
When does book 2 hit shelves?
Book 2 hit shelves on November the 7th, 2023. Not November 8th, 2023, because I keep getting my 7th and my 8ths confused. And my wife has to be like, Esme, no. Because this is why I have her, because she's very useful and she keeps me living.
And book 2 is available for pre-order.
Yeah, please pre-order it. You can get nice swaggy things. Yes, exactly. All the swaggy things. It's a good book. I really like it. Please buy it. And also book 1, because you need to read book 1 before you read book 2. So
is 4 the amount of books that you wanted?
Yes. So I get to finish out the story exactly the way I want to, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Because then I can just like relax into book 3 and book 4. Because like I got a 2-book deal initially, and with potentially more, but like I didn't know if I was getting more until after I'd finished Dragon's Roost. And I remember emailing my editor being like, I could finish it this way, but like, what are we thinking? So just to have that confirmation that we were getting more was really freeing as far as like the writing process and the planning went.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's very stressful.
I am interested in, one of my favorite parts, you talked a little bit about how dragons are misunderstood. I love the dragon on the cover of book 2. I am interested specifically in the mythical creatures in your stories. And also, you had a little hand up. What was your hand?
Oh, I was going to say that the dragon in book 2 is actually because we used to have a different dragon on book 1 on the cover, and I thought he was so cute. I wanted him. I needed to put him in. So he's like the reason why book 2 is. So thank you, Kate Sheridan, my cover artist, for creating this little tiny blue dragon that just like inspired the whole thing. I love it so much.
I love your covers. They feel so classic and also so like new. They're like
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. I need to show you next time I see you, because I have a sketch for book 3.
Okay, yeah.
It's good. It's
We're
really good.
offline on that. Okay, yeah. So tell us about mythical creatures, shapeshifters, witches. What was your favorite to create in terms of mythical creatures?
I really enjoy the dragons because initially when I was told to expand the story and the lore, I was just like, okay, we're just gonna have an evil creature and they're going to be as scary as I can make them, and they're all like ominous and magic and fire and good stuff. And then when it came to book 2, it's just like, okay, well you're still all those things, but you're also this too, and like you're kind of this like acting for a purpose. You know, this is kind of essentially your job. And actually, you didn't tell any lies. You're just kind of being scary for the sake of being scary. So it was really fun to like, you know, question what I had previously done, because I didn't want to like contradict myself, but I also wanted to like build off it and kind of like add some more layers to it. So I had a lot of fun doing that. And then honestly, the shapeshifters are similar because, you know, they're the witch's kind of eyes across Winterwell. They're very much like her eyes. And then we have magpies, which are super fun because I love birds so much. And they're just, you know, they soar through the clouds and they see everything. You know, everything gets back. She knows what's going on. I would like to have more creatures, but I'm not very good at creatures.
But I love them when you do them. There's a whole little world there. Callie is your first book. How did you know that you wanted to be an author?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
How did you know that you wanted to be an author?
And what else was it gonna do? So I started writing when I was 12. I was writing a lot of fan fiction in the Harry Potter universe. And I discovered that I loved being read, and I loved getting reviews and just like having readers' reactions to things that I had created. I just thought that was the neatest thing ever. I loved it when I would get comments that were like, oh, I hate you. You destroyed me. I'm crying. And so I was like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life.
I need to destroy people.
I know. So through my teenage years, I really like focused on that and just like working out the stories that I enjoyed writing and the reactions I was looking for and how to get from one to the other. And like looking back, I was really working hard at my craft. I just didn't know that was what was going on at the time. And then I went to university for literature and creative writing in Aberystwyth.
A nice little callback there. Thank you.
Little callback, I know. And that was really because I've never been good at anything else. I'm not well balanced. I'm really bad at math. I'm really bad at science. I'm really bad at geography. I'm really bad at everything, but I'm really good at writing. And I really enjoy it. I'm that kind of like neurospicy that is just like hyper fixated on one thing, and I do it damn well, but I'm terrible at anything else. Which makes it very hard when the world is just like, that's not viable. you gotta think of something else. And I'm just like, I don't have anything else. This is very hard. So then I moved to America where people stopped talking to me about it. And I discovered NaNoWriMo. So that was when I started writing my own characters and my own stories. And that's where I learned how to like edit and revise, because I'd never done that before. I just wrote it and put it up. Done. I don't remember what the question was.
When did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, I wanted to be a writer when I was like 13, but I didn't know I wanted to be an author until I was 21.
I love that. And I feel like my favorite thing about talking to so many authors right now is how many folks came up through the fan fiction world and through online community. It's just really fun because I was a lurker. I was a reader, not a writer. But just seeing so many folks like really be able to drive that passion and also tell new stories that people have always wanted, but that we haven't been able to see in traditional publishing. Like the fact that Sir Callie is a penguin book, Labyrinth Road, wild.
It's ridiculous. I'm just like, and like every day I'm just like baffled that this is what I get to do, because like I'm basically writing fan fiction and it's being published and people are reading it and what the heck. But yeah, but going back, like I feel like this new generation of authors that grew up with fan fiction, there's so much like love of storytelling there. Like not just writing, it's storytelling. It's like connecting with the readers and like having that like back and forth. Like I love that. I read all my reviews. I'm not ashamed of it. And I just think it's so fascinating that people can take, you know, one page, one book, whatever, and like get 10 different readings from it. I think that's fascinating. And like the author is only one person, you know, it's only one opinion of the book. And like, I love seeing what other people get from it. I think it's amazing. Like there's no wrong way to read a book.
Yeah. Why do you think Callie is the right book for right now?
Oh, I mean, with everything going on in the world, I think it's super important for queer kids to feel like they have community outside of their immediate family. I think it's awesome, best thing ever if they do have support within their family. But, you know, there's so much more out there. There's so many people willing to protect you and fight for you. You know, and found family is such an integral part of queer community. And I think especially for kids who are in homes who feel like, you know, they're the only one in the whole world, you know, just to see yourself on the pages is startling, you know, just as proof that you're not alone, that you're not the only one, and that there is like a good life on the other side. You know, not even necessarily to inspire through the book itself, but just to say, hey, we exist and we're here for you when you're ready to find us. So that was really, really important. And it's very much writing for those kids and also for, you know, queer adults that never got to see themselves on the page. And, you know, I feel like a lot of times people think that you have to pander to the parents and pander to, you know, the people who are buying the book, but I really wasn't willing to do that because it's not for them. And it doesn't bother me if they don't like it because, you know, kids can find the books and kids can swap the books and swap the stories. And I think it's more important to be brave and take a risk than to protect more. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are or what are some other queer middle grade books that you would recommend to your readers?
All right. Okay. Anna on the Edge by AJ Sass was the first book that I read with a non-binary protagonist, and it was just the most beautiful story. And it's the one that I always give to people who are like learning what non-binary is. It's the one I gave to my grandmother, and she adores it. She loves it so much. And honestly, I think that really helped her to understand what non-binary means as someone who's like born femme. Let me see. Where is it? I must have put it somewhere. I don't have it right now, but I love everything that Ash writes, and The Beautiful Something Else is their latest one, and it is probably my favorite queer middle grade of all time. It's like a little piece of their soul on the page, and it's just so beautiful and heartbreaking and affirming, and it's flawless, perfect, wonderful.
It's so good.
So much. Let me see. What else do we have? I really loved Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff. It's kind of like a ghost story, but it's about like discovering who you are and your family, and it's just we're really blessed right now with queer middle grades. I really love. It's not necessarily a middle grade, but this was a really big inspiration for Sir Callie. It's a graphic novel, and it's about a soft prince who is like working out their gender, and their BFF, the dressmaker, who makes dresses for them. It's so good. It's so beautiful. Buy it.
I love when folks want queer middle grade now. There's not just like one book to pull.
I know, it's delightful. We just need more gender fic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's some amazing contemporaries, and I think they're so important. But like, I want to see the non-binary kids fighting battles, you know, and going into space, and you know, ghosts and all the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. A gender genre, if you will.
Gender, yes, exactly.
There's something in there.
There's something in there.
I am going to switch over to some audience questions. because some people have been very patient, and I want everybody to know that their questions are heard. I'm gonna go like from order. So, will we learn more about who can do magic in the next books?
Yes. Yes, we will. Listen, I feel like magic is a lot more like present in book 2.
Mhm.
There's some really great like queer elders in book 2 who I enjoy so much, and like the different ways that we can use magic. Like it doesn't have to be a serious thing, it can be very like aesthetic, and you know, you can change your hair, you can change the color of your eyes, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Like it doesn't have to be this big deal.
Mhm.
So I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed. Obviously, we have dragons. It's gonna be magic with dragons, and we have some surprises as well, which are less fun, but I'm excited to get into that. So yes, we will.
Keep your secrets, Esme. Could you please talk about how you went about marketing the book and reaching your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, publishing is so terrifying. Like there's no guarantees in anything. So as soon as I got my book deal, I was like, this is the only opportunity I'm ever gonna have. So I'm gonna have a damn good time with it.
Right.
So I was like, listen, if it fails, it's not gonna be my fault. So I went absolutely gung ho. I made myself BFFs with every single bookstore in St. Louis. No regrets.
Wow, it was just a marketing ploy.
Listen, it worked out. No, I love you so much. But I printed my bookmarks super crazy early, like gosh, like a year and a half out. As soon as I had something to put on them, I printed my bookmarks and I tasseled them, and it was a lot of tassels. And I took them and I gave them to everyone I made eye contact with.
They're really cute bookmarks.
I know, they're really cute. I love them so much. And then it was just very much like book people like talking books, you know, and that's basically it. Like I love talking books, and booksellers love talking about books, and authors love talking about books, and we're just going to talk about books. And by the way, I wrote a book. And like I've always been very active on social media in like writing communities. I was big in NaNoWriMo until they ruined the site. Whatever, it's fine. So like I already had like a platform on Twitter throughout querying and throughout submissions, so I definitely utilized that, and I just made myself very open and available. I'd say if you're an author and you're looking at your debut, like start as soon as you can. I've had a few conversations this year with debut authors who are like 3 months out. They're like, "Oh, when should I start doing stuff?" And I'm just like yesterday. Like seriously, like you've got to go, because no one's going to buy your book if they don't know it exists. You know, people can choose to not buy it, but they're not going to have that choice if they don't know it exists. And no one's being annoyed by you marketing your book. And if they are, they can be quiet because they don't understand. So it's being very bold. It's like, you know, you worked so freaking hard on this thing, on this amazing thing, and you finally got this amazing opportunity. You got to work with it as much as you can, because you cannot depend on anyone else to do that for you. Like no matter what your deal is, no matter who your publisher is, no matter what your advance was, like there's no guarantees in publishing. So the only thing you control is what you do for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's my soapbox.
I love your soapbox.
Thank you.
We have a question, and I think that you and I could answer this together. It is, how does pre-ordering help?
Pre-ordering proves that people want to buy the book, and publishers really, really like that. So, you know, and it also means that they know what their print run needs to be. So if they made an order of like X amount, but actually like more people have ordered, or it looks like more people are going to order, then they're going to change that. Whereas like if you wait to buy the book, then maybe, you know, there's not going to be any stock to buy. So that's the problem. So that's the way that I see it. What about you?
I agree. I think that pre-ordering is huge for if you are like in love with a book series. Pre-ordering the next one in the series lets publishers know, especially for series that they haven't greenlit the whole thing of, that folks are going to continue reading on to the sequels. And also like first week sales are huge for authors and kind of the longevity of that book. And obviously there are like there are folks who like get a random mid-year like hit, but that first week is always really important.
Mhm.
Pre-ordering also helps bookstores figure out how many of certain titles that we need to carry, and you all know that you can't buy a book at a bookstore if it's not on the shelves, and that's hugely important. So if we get like 10 pre-orders or 15 or 20 or 25 pre-orders of a title, we know that we need to order even more of that because there's more people who didn't even think about pre-ordering. Yeah, it helps authors, it helps publishers, it helps bookstores. All together, it is a win-win-win.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I think it's really hard to like explain how important it is. Like, it can make or break, you know. And that's why I think it's really important to be very active in marketing as an author, because like you need to drive those sales. You need to actively, and like, you know, a lot of people are hesitant because they're like, oh well, I can only get like 100 sales, but like 100 people buying a book is 100 people telling other people to buy a book.
And that's the thing, the snowball effect.
The snowball, and like, you know, what has been really striking about connecting with all these indie bookstores is that everyone talks to each other. It truly is a network, and it's a web, and you know, I can see the impact of me going into a store and saying, hey, this is my book, here are my bookmarks, and then, you know, Indie Next because bookstores are talking about my book, and then Barnes & Noble because Indie Next, and like being in Barnes & Noble is freaking like, it's not a guarantee anymore, friends, but it does make a difference. So like everything you can do, even if you don't necessarily see the effects, it's better than not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to get a result if you don't do it, but you might get a result if you do.
Well, and publishers figure out their next year's slates and what they're publishing and when so much earlier than you think they do. Exactly. And so a heavy pre-order shows them that, oh, they're going to want a sequel every year, or they're going to want, like, it determines how quickly. And my favorite feedback that we get on pre-orders is when people are really good pre-orderers and then they forget that they pre-ordered a thing.
That happened to me so many times last year. Like, I'd be pre-ordering a book as soon as it was announced. I'd be like, yes. And then I'd be like, oh no, it comes out next week and I don't think I pre-ordered it. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so annoying. And I'll add also that, like, I don't think readers who aren't authors really understand that when a series is bought, it's not the whole series.
Yeah.
You know, and the authors don't know how many books they're necessarily going to get. And that's really scary. So, like, the reason why I was confident in my series was because, you know, because of my pre-order sales for book one, they knew that there was interest. So they were confident to say, yes, we can do 3 or 4 books, you know, and that helped the writing. But, like, I know plenty of series that started that aren't going to be finished. Yeah. You know, book 2 is going to come out and then it's just going to dribble away. It's really sad because, like, you know, how do you finish writing a series if you don't know how many books there are going to be?
Absolutely. I feel that way when I watch television as well. I've been scorned so many times.
I know. I'm very anxious being a consumer right now.
Oh, I know. Shout out to all of the WGA and SAG strikers who are working for more equitable conditions. Sorry, the next question. Wow, did you watch me completely dissociate? Can you recommend a book that inspired you when you were growing up that you think your readers would enjoy?
The Protection of the Small series by Tamora Pierce. I love this series with my whole heart and soul. It's the only books I brought with me from England. I started on the second book because I was 10, didn't understand. And then when the 4th book came out, it was my first ever book that I pre-ordered. And I bothered the booksellers at my Waterstones for like 6 months.
Who blurbed this book?
Oh yeah, Tamora Pierce blurbed my book.
Oh,
it's fine. But I remember like praying on this book when Callie went on submission and it worked out. Anyway, so yeah, Tamora Pierce books, especially the Alana books and the Kel books, they're just, you know, your classic girl night books. Oh, they're so good. And you'll see lots of things that inspired Easter eggs in Sir Callie.
Yeah.
From it. Nick is very based on a character, and then Neil is named after my favorite character, etc., etc., etc. Listen, I love this book. Callie's fan fiction of these books, so it's great.
we have two different writing questions. One was like, do you have advice for my kid who wants to be a writer? And then one was advice for me who wants to be a writer. So one for kids and one for adults.
For kids, like, let them just write. You don't need to know what they're writing. You don't need to bother them about writing. You don't need to ask them. If they come to you, that's a huge honor. Read their stuff if they give it to you, because it's really, really scary being read. I remember being very, very private about everything I wrote. And then when I finally got the guts to share it, they were like, oh, okay, we'll read it. And then they never did. And it was really horrible. Like, that sucks. But equally, like, don't snoop. It's not your business. It doesn't matter what they're writing. They're fine. So chill. So just step back. It's fine. I don't know if that's helpful, but like, that's the most helpful thing I can think of. Like, if they're gonna write, they're gonna write. Yeah. Make sure that they have plenty of pens, and privacy. For grown-ups writing, like, don't get distracted by everything else. Don't get distracted by publishing, or like the question of like, am I going to self-publish? Am I going to traditionally publish? It doesn't matter. Just get the words down. The story is what matters. So write the story, finish the story. Please, for the love of God, finish the story, because, you know, I think the hardest thing to do is to get to the end. Yeah. And then once you do it, you realize that you're a superpower and you're a hero and there's nothing you can't do. And then understand that your first draft is terrible. And that's okay. Find your community. I would normally say go to Twitter, but Twitter's
bad.
Bad place. So we're still working out where the community is going to go next, but who freaking knows? I don't know. Find your people that are doing what you're doing. Make sure that you're willing to like swap. I feel like you can learn a lot about your own craft by beta reading and being a critique potter for other people, and just like really have fun. You know, it's not that serious. Have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it. And like there's you can say like, oh, I'm angsty about my words and I hate it, and that's a different thing to like, I hate writing, I just want to have written. You know, those are two very different things. And write fan fiction. Fan fiction is great. Like, write what you want. Don't worry about anything else.
Love a good fan fiction. What inspired you to make Perrin such a jerk?
I wanted to write a character that was completely irredeemable. And, like, he's not an asshole because he has a tragic backstory. Nothing bad has ever happened to him. He's just a massive dick. And, like, I love me a good antagonist with an angsty backstory, but, like, some people are just mean for the sake of being mean, you know, and I feel like Perrin is the culmination of all of my rage from 2016 to 2020. Like, he's just like, you're spending so much energy oppressing people just because you can, like, for real. Yeah. Some people are like that, and it's miserable. So it was really important for me for him to be completely irredeemable, and equally important that the children don't forgive him, you know, because, you know, some people aren't worth your time. They aren't worth your forgiveness. Time to move on, you know. So I really enjoy writing him, especially with Callie, who's just like, no, we're not doing this. Why are we doing this? You're just a jerk.
I love that. I love the idea that, like, some people are just bad and we don't need to get into why. You don't need to
No, he's bad because he thinks that anyone else is taking away from him, and he's just has no reason and no desire to look critically at his beliefs. Whereas, like, you know, Nick came from the same place, had similar, you know, feelings, and he had to like do the hard work to say, I was wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. Perrin doesn't think he's wrong. He's just an ass. Anyway.
All right. I have two just fun end of questions.
Love it.
And then we will be done.
Until November.
Until November. And then we get what is your coffee shop order as?
Earl Grey tea with some 2% on the side. And it has to be on the side because Americans don't know how to put milk in tea.
How are you supposed to put milk in tea?
Gently. You leave the tea to steep for way too long, And then you stir it, and make a little whirlpool, and then you tiny until the color changes, little bit, just right amount, not too much, not too little. Make sure the tea is steeped enough. Lord Almighty, it's not that hard, guys.
I feel like I need you to like make a tea next to me so I can see how
I will come to the store and make you tea. I can't believe that we haven't done that yet, because I think that'd be a really fun like social media thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last question, and I love asking this. Do you have a writing playlist? If so, what is on it?
Yes, I do.
Or do you have like a Sir Callie soundtrack in your head?
So I always make soundtracks for my books, and they're the ones that I listen to in the car. They're just absolutely insane. Let me pull it up. Let's see. What do I have on there? Oh, my Spotify doesn't work. Oh, yes, it does. I don't know. So let me look at my playlist. When I'm writing, I cannot listen to music with lyrics. Because I end up writing the lyrics, and that's not what I intend to do. So I usually have like an ambience, kind of like generic fantasy sounds going on. I really enjoy the daily mixes on Spotify.
Yeah, me too. I think they're great.
Good ones. So I usually have like a Howard Shore / like Hans Zimmer type thing, which is like a bunch of just random like soundtracks. And then for my actual soundtracks, because I always have those. So yeah, for Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston, I have Don't You Worry Child, which is just my perfect Willow song. I have All the King's Horses, and just like it's a hot mess disaster of like show tunes and soundtracks and rock and bardcore.
I love it.
But I will say that I'm putting together like a formal sort of soundtrack for each book that I will be giving the link to if you pre-order, and then add to my list and say, hey, I want these digital goodies. So if you want more information about that, you should totally do that.
Well, okay.
I think I'm really good at soundtracks. So and they're completely insane, but very yes.
Where can people find you on the internet as?
I am currently on Twitter because it's still Twitter and I don't care what anyone says. Jesus Christ. At Esme Symes-Smith. I am also reluctantly on Instagram, and I guess I'll be going there more, but whatever, it's fine. At _Symes_Smith. I exist on TikTok, but I don't post, but you can contact me there. I feel like the best way of contacting me recently is my website. Which is eSymesSmith.com.
Very cool.
Yes, we're suffering with social media right now. It's fine.
Any last minute things to add about Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston and its favorite place?
I enjoyed it, so you should enjoy it too. But seriously, it was so much fun to write, but it's also like very heavy, and it's exactly what I wanted as a kid, and I feel so blessed that 1, I get to write it, 2, that it's being published, and 3, that people actually enjoy reading it. Like, what the heck? What is going on? Is this my life? I don't know. So yeah, read my book, and there's an excerpt from Dragon's Roost in the back of the paperback, so you should go read that and then buy my book.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being incredible. Congratulations on this paperback. I'm so excited that many new readers will get to meet Callie. Paperbacks are just so good. They're so
good. They're so soft and so little. Like the I feel like the size difference, Lord Almighty, between so like you've got hardback and beautiful. Look. Yeah.
Congratulations. So excited. Thank you everybody who tuned in, and we'll see you for our next virtual event. Bye.